Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet, good morning to you. It is Coach Kyle Evans coming at you this morning, guys. I'm coming to you from the Bowl Room. We're going to do graduation weeks for some awesome people here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And yet before that, we've got to get our daily check up from the neck up. And do I have a treat for you today? If you have heard me talk, if you've been on the show, if you've seen me in person, there is conversations that I have a lot about accountability and about the power of who you surround yourself with and the power of having a mentor or a coach and what that can do for yourself and your business. So I've got a treat for you. This person comes up all the time through my talking, through my speaking, because she just has taught me so many lessons and helped me become the person that I am today. Better father, better businessman, better husband, just better overall around dude, better listing agent, right? And so I decided that I'm going to stop being greedy, stop gatekeeping the information and share her with you today. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet, I'm going to introduce you to the amazing Coach Emily Baker. If you have not met her yet, here she is. Emily, what's up, lady?
Hi, Kyle. Thank you for the introduction. Hey, everyone. MAPS Executive Coach Emily Baker. I co-lead Convert Sellers to Closings and Take More Listings Now. And I couldn't think of something more prevalent in the market to be discussing today, Kyle. Listings. Gary always says you've got a list to last.
That's right. See, guys, this is what I'm talking about, right? I'm over here giving this lady her flowers, and she's like, I ain't got time for that. We got to make people money. And she just dives right in. If you want to know what it's like coaching with Emily Baker, it's a little like that. I don't got time. Let's go get it. That's awesome. So without gilding the lily any further, Emily, when we're talking about listings, man, I mean, the market has, for lack of a better term, been frothy for a while. And like you said, one of the best ways to insulate our business, to protect our bottom line, to grow is listings. And, you know, when we're talking about the things that we're seeing, are listings going up or down these days? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so listings are going down and number of home sales are going down. But what's interesting is it doesn't have to be that way. Specifically with my coaching clients, I'm seeing that their listings are up year over year.
Boss, no big deal.
Well, I think in down markets, you know, we always hear in down markets, this is your time to go take your unfair share, right? This is your time to go take the territory, and the territory is moving.
That's a good point. So what do you think is the biggest challenge then for those people who aren't on your roster yet, have not earned that right yet, to go out and get more of these listings to grow their business?
Yeah, I think there's a couple big things that we're seeing specifically with listings right now. The first one is taking listings, right? It is where to find the lowest hanging fruit. What we've got to know is 75% of sellers who sold in 2024 were either of the Gen X, not millennial, Gen X, boomers, or seniors. So what we 75% of sellers are either downsizing, senior transitioning, or families inheriting property. Those types of groups, they don't care about interest rates, right? You have to sell. A lot of what we're hearing is, well, sellers just aren't motivated.
Right.
And we always talk about finding the motivated, right? And so what we've got to understand is, what do those sellers want, right? Because competition's fierce too, right? We're not just going out and signing the listing. We're interviewing against multiple agents. And so what do those sellers want? And at the end of the day, you know, we can tie a bow on it. Sellers always want the same things. They want to make the most amount of money possible with the least amount of hassle and the least amount of time, right? However, sometimes we have to chunk that down for sellers, because saying it, right? It's like, have you ever heard, You all sound so great. You all say something so similar. This is going to be a tough choice, right?
Yeah.
We've got to go a little bit more granular with them and say, this is how I'm going to net you the most amount of money. So it's being very clear on your value proposition, whether that's through a marketing platform, whether that's through like pre-inspections, right? Like choose what it is that you're doing to simplify and make them more money. Maybe it's average list price to sales price. Maybe it's your list price to sales price versus other brokerages, right? If you're don't be afraid to use the brokerage numbers.
Sure.
But there are key points that we've got to get really granular such that the seller is 100% confident that you can make them the most amount of money, do it with the least amount of hassle, and do it in the least amount of time. And if you're clear with them on those three things and you repeat back to them, can we agree that utilizing this strategy would net you the most amount of money? Yes. Can we agree that blah, blah, blah? Great. So you don't want to interview other agents. Like you've got better things to do with your time, right? Like let put me to work.
So guys, just to make sure you're not missing some of the nuance and detail that Emily's talking about here is number one, slow down to speed up. You got to take time to prepare for these appointments. Know your numbers. I love what she said. Like we get lost in the sauce of, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to make you the most amount of money in the least amount of time with fewest hassles. Sign here, press hard. How?
Yes.
How are you going to do these things? Your messaging matters. And that's a lesson that she has been preaching to me, ladies and gentlemen, for like 8 years now is Kyle, what's your message? What's your message of the moment? It is the market of the moment. You see what I'm saying? She already knows.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that goes hand in hand with finding listings now is there's a mindset that I have seen with agents where there's no inventory, right? Or there are no motivated sellers, or there are no anything, right? And my simple hack for that is, Gary always says we want to be the economist of choice, right? And what does that actually mean though? Right? What does being the economist of choice mean? And to me, it means understanding the market such that you understanding your messaging, and that can sometimes trump our own feelings around what's happening, right? Because if I'm every Monday going in and I pull how many listings have gone under contract in the last 7 days, and I see it's 78 listings. Are there people not moving? Are buyers not really buying, right? Is that 100% true? How many new listings came on the market? 151 came on the market in the last 7 days. How I would flip the dialogue, your inner voice is, okay, 151 sellers decided not to work with me. How come?
Ouch.
Yeah.
What an accountability question, seeking ownership instead of a victim mindset. Dang, that's a good question.
Yeah. And I think that there are two areas, right? Do they know about you? Are you the secret agent? Remember, mind share leads to market share. Or is it an activity issue, right? So we've got two buckets. It's either a marketing problem or a prospecting problem. And in this market, in a shifted market, and y'all, when I was full-time in production and we were taking, around 50 listings every single month, all of our listing agents closed over 100 listings. And I'm not talking about in 2020 to 2025. I'm talking about 2012 to 2017, right? So in this type of market, what's important to remember is that we've got to be we have to be prospecting, right? Like when less homes are being sold and there are more competition, we've got to ensure that we have some prospecting levers. And it doesn't mean, Kyle, you know how I am about this, but there are multiple ways to win. It doesn't mean you have to pound the phones. I think sometimes we talk about prospecting and people immediately go to FSBOs or expireds or circle prospecting or pounding the phones. what I always look at is there are 4 ways to communicate in terms of distribution channels, right? You have face to face, you have voice to voice, you have digital, or you have print. And you can decide based on those channels of what you're going to be consistent on, and then hit those target groups based on that.
Whew. It's so funny, hearing this stuff, because I want you guys to understand, like, every minute that she's talking, she could go into hours long mastery conversation on each one of these things. And PS, there's a way to figure that out and find her for more. But Emily, when you're talking about those 4 channels, should we just be doing one?
I always say that you have a main one and then you have a couple enhancers, right? So again, you've got your base one and then you have enhancements. And what I look at is what can we systematize to scale, right? So systems solve problems, right? Systems also simplify for scale. So for example, it's very simple, not easy, right, to create a direct mail campaign. It's very simple, not easy to do a digital campaign, right? So the most important thing, though, I just think is just start with one. Just start with one and be really consistent for whether you're doing a 66-day challenge, whether you decide to do a 12-week challenge for like a quarter, right? Whatever that looks like, just be consistent with one thing and then you can always enhance later. But a lot of times we're facing ourselves with habits, right? So a lot of us go, I don't know if anyone's like me in this, but I'm a very extreme person. I've heard where I'm like 0 or 100, right? So
what? You no. No.
So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. And it's like this grandiose, right? Like big thing. And what I've had to learn over many, many years is just chunking it down to the leading domino, right? Get consistent there and then layer it on, right? Because consistency compounds and the small wins lead to greater victories.
So we've talked about a little bit, or touched on, having the right message on the appointment, right? Being prepared, knowing our numbers, knowing more than just an ad lib that you've said a billion times. We've talked about having 4 direct channels, that pick one, be consistent on it. When you talk about consistency, what do you mean by that? Like, so an agent hears consistency. What does Coach Emily's executive brain think when she's telling agents, I need you to be consistent on this?
So number one, I want you to be 100% clear on what it is that you're being consistent with, right? So I like to use the gym as an example, right? I'm going to go to the gym every day. Okay, that's awesome. But then when you get there, are you just going to go to the treadmill because you don't know if you're doing arms, legs, you don't know what set you're doing, right? Like, so I want you to be 100% clear on what exactly that you're committing to and you're doing. And then you're going to put that on your calendar, and you're not going to put prospecting or lead gen or lead follow-up on your calendar. You're going to put exactly what you're going to do. So send 25 letters, right? We know it'll take 30 minutes to send 25 letters. That's if you're doing it yourself. So you're going to put that on your calendar. And we're not going to erase it, right? We're going to replace it. So if something gets in the way, because again, y'all, I'm a mom. I have a lot of grace where you're committing, yet every day it's unrealistic to say I'm going to win every single day. Okay. Because life's, and unfortunately it doesn't give us a warning, right? So what I will say is that one day is not a week. So what are you going to do in a week? Where is that going to fall? And give yourself a plan B. If something comes up, where's my next spot? And I like to call that flex time, right? So you have that flex time on your calendar where, again, you're not scheduling an appointment. You're not allowing clients to dictate when you work or not, which a lot of us do it, for many years. And then we get exhausted or overwhelmed or we feel burnout, right?
Sure.
You're dictating what you are doing and you're giving yourself that grace to replace it.
It's so, I want you guys to hear this. Like, again, this is a lady who led me and coached me for years. When you hear me talk about calendar and then you hear how specific and detailed she is, that's where it came from. So any of you guys who've been like, oh, Kyle's so hard on my calendar, blame Emily. Don't blame me. She's the one who made me this way. All right. So like, there's where it's at. Put it on your calendar. Be detailed. What is the plan that you are committing to? And one of the great things that she taught me is you have to have flex time because life is going to show up and it's going to happen on a Wednesday morning when you least expect it. And then you're going to have to go throw everything out and change. This is the stuff that's going to take you from mediocre to great when it comes to listing, when it comes to this market, when it comes to creating a level of mastery for yourself and your team. Emily, where should these agents be putting their energy, right? So if they're like, hey, Emily, this stuff sounds pretty good. I do want to get more listings. You know, I will work on my messaging. I'll be consistent. Like, what else? What else should they be kind of rolling around their brain to take it a step further?
Yeah. So we have two courses that are launching in June. The first one is Take More Listings Now. So if you're not currently going, let's say that your goal, right, based on your financial goal is to go on X amount of appointments per week or per month, right? And you're not going on that many appointments, right? And you're frustrated and you're having a little bit of paralysis by analysis of what do I do? And you're grasping, or maybe you're on Facebook groups and you're going, where are you guys getting listings? Where are you guys doing it? Right? If that's you, and you want to have a streamlined, consistent, Take More Listings, that program is for you.
Where do they find that?
Yes. So if you go to the MAPS Coaching website, it is under Fast Track and it's Take More Listings Now.
If they're not with KW, can they take it?
Absolutely. It's non-brokerage exclusive. So every single agent can take it.
Awesome. Guys, you've heard me many times talk about messaging and when you confuse, you lose. And part of that comes from Emily. I want to explain very clearly that she is a master of what she's doing by simply the title of the class. It's not Love Your Way to Listings. It's not More Money with Listings. It's Take More Listings Now. Very clear, very concise. That is what you are going to get, that level of approach and directness in fighting for your bank account in your business. Emily, that's one. What's the second?
Yeah, so the second one is convert sellers to closings. One of the things that I'm seeing is overall, okay, so this is just macro, is listing appointment gone on to signed conversion is down.
Yep.
And then signed to closed is down as well. However, what I want to point out is that also days on market, it's taking longer.
Sure.
And so convert sellers to closings is our entire full listing consultation. So maybe you've never had listing consultation training, or you've kind of been winging it, or you've been doing it for so long that you're like, I need a really good refresher because I'm spinning my wheels here, right?
Yeah.
Pricing. If you've been in the market less than 5 years as an agent, I would just welcome you all to take this. I cannot stress enough how many pricing conversations that I'm having, going listing by listing, pulling up my clients' listings. And, you know, a lot of times we think that they're priced right, and it's not. And how do you know, right? Or you have the sellers who are going, well, what are you doing, right? Or, oh, we want another open house, or, oh, we want a broker opener. Oh, we want flyers, or, oh, where are you? Are you marketing this to agents across the nation, right? and they're
God, it's like you're bringing me right into a bad dream that I'm having. My goodness.
Yeah, and it's because they're avoiding, but almost because they have uncertainty. Because when we price a property, there are 4 clear items that we are looking for in the first 2 weeks. Okay. Number 1 is we are looking for 3 to 5 showings. I'm not talking about open house attendees. I'm talking about 3 to 5 per week showings. Number 2, we're looking for second showings. 3, we're looking for positive feedback from agents and their clients. And no feedback is feedback, y'all. They're not interested. It's not positive. And
say that again.
And the feedback that you give to your seller, Kyle, if you don't get feedback and you're annoyed because the agent's not responding to you, which if we had a penny for every time that happened, right? Then what we would just say is, hey, the home showed well. Unfortunately, the buyer found a better deal on a similar home and is moving forward with that. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. There are better deals out there, right? And the last one is talks of offers or an offer. And if we're not seeing those 4 things in the first 2 weeks of being on the market, I don't care what your average days on market is at this point, then you're either 5% or 10% off of the price. And it's very clear. What I will tell you is a lot of sellers today try up here. They say, well, I want to try, right? I was at an appointment a few weeks ago, and these sellers, so kind, but they were very overwhelmed, right? They're in their 80s. They interviewed 3 agents, and the first I was last, and the first agent told them 425. The second agent said 4 to 425. And y'all, this house was a 350 to 375, 375 on its best day. Okay. So I showed them the inventory that was active. I called the agents. Here's the other thing. I called all the agents that had active competition to understand how many showings, what was their activity rate, which proved that they were overpriced. Okay. I also called the pendings and I got some insight on that. So when I was talking to them, I had that intel and I was like, if I'm a buyer and I'm looking and these are the 2 houses comparable, which one am I going to do?
That's right.
Well, we just want to try it. I said, respectfully, I hear that you want to try it, and yet, can I explain how the listing price is merely just the marketing price? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, well, let's say I listed your house at 400 and I listed it at 375, same marketing, same photography, same plan, right? Which one's going to get more online views out of the gate?
The lower one.
Yeah, she said 375. And then I said, which one's going to get more traction when we launch the listing with our listing launch event, which is a mega open house? She said, the lower one. And I said, and which one's going to get more private tour requests? The lower one. I said, okay, so if we have a lot of people who are in and there's more activity and a home is only worth what a buyer's going to pay, right? I ultimately want to make you the most amount of money. That's my goal, right? It's us against the market. The market's going to respond. Which do we have a better strategy? And I started it at 375, but it was them offering the decision, right? We're guiding them because at the end of the day, we don't know what Kyle, like you don't actually know. And in this market, some houses surprise you, I'm sure.
Sure,
right?
Of course.
Some properties you're like, gosh, I don't know why this isn't selling. Like we're spot on. So pricing expectations, like that's a lot of you can invest money up front for listings, like with photography, through staging, whether that's virtual or in person. Some of you do pre-inspections, cleanings. I mean, the list goes on, right? So if you're not seeing that convert to a closing, or you're having sellers who are frustrated and you're, tired of navigating those conversations because it's
you're frustrated yourself.
Exactly, because it's exhausting, right? Then that is 100% for you.
And where can they find that?
Same place.
Awesome.
Maps. Yep.
When does that start? June as well?
It does. Yep. We're running them simultaneously. So Take More Listings Now will be Wednesdays at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. It is 6 weeks. Convert Sellers to Closings is Thursdays at 1 p.m. Central Time, 6 weeks. All sessions are recorded and available for playback 60 days post the last one. So basically they have access through September, essentially.
That's dope.
Yep. So if you're like, well, I can't, or I'm dual career, or whatever that is, you can do this on your own time and reach out to my partner, Erin Simons, and I. You have full access through our Facebook group and community with over 1,200 listing focused agents that you can lean on us for support as you're through, because this is what I see as the biggest opportunity in today's market is go get the inventory, right? Play offense. This is your time you're tired of defense, man. I would be tired of defense. I mean, I'm tired of defense, those conversations when I have them, I'm like, man, that's exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the one and the only Emily Baker. Some of you have asked me before, man, how did you get where you are? How did you grow so fast? How'd you do all these things? You're looking at the lady, right? She's giving you the keys to the castle here. She's going to teach you and pour into you with her partner Erin for weeks, man. I don't know. Stop starving to death in a grocery store. That's like the best thing I can tell you. She's sitting here with the T-bone steak and you're hungry. Like, go eat the steak. All right. Like, come on, people. Emily, great to see you. Any parting words for the people of the internet before we let you go today?
I would just say if nothing changes, nothing changes, So, if you're sitting there and you're going, gosh, I don't have the money or whatever, we've all been there. And the difference is at some point, invest in yourself. You deserve it. Real estate is not hard. And you can be a millionaire real estate agent. You just need the right tools and to break through the ceilings, and listings is the most leverageable way. And that's my opinion.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet, master coach Emily Baker joining us. Coach, I'll see you out there.
Bye, Kyle. Go crush bold.
All right, bye.